Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Before we begin, I should warn you that some of you may find what you are about to hear rather disturbing.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Until Dawn podcast. My name is Coy, and with me is my wife, Felicia.
Hello. Guess what today is?
Sunday?
It's your birthday.
Yes, it's my birthday.
I think you're officially? You say mid-30s, but to me mid-30s starts at 35. You are what?
37.
37. Still younger than me.
Now it's late 30s.
Oh yeah, late 30s.
I figure the 34 to 36 is mid-30s.
What's funny is because I'm older than you, whenever I would say that I was in my late 30s, you'd be like, no, you're not. No, you're not. But I know you were just trying to make me feel better. Guess what? Now I'm in my 40s. Well, I'm 40.
Right.
And you are, in fact, in your late 30s.
Yes.
So I asked you what you wanted for your birthday. And what did you say?
Ratings and reviews.
Which is so lame.
5-star ratings and reviews. Not just any ratings and reviews.
I will say that since I think last time we recorded, we've got 2 more ratings.
Yes.
I mean, they're not reviews, but they're ratings, and I'll take them.
Right. Unfortunately, because it wasn't a review, there's no name or anything on there. So, thank you to whoever went out there and did that.
Well, just pretend like you knew it was Coy's birthday, and that's why you did it.
Exactly. They did show up today, so...
That is kind of weird, right?
Yeah. Now everybody else just needs to go out there and do that. All right, so while my birthday is exciting, it's mainly probably just exciting to me.
Do you ever wish that you were born just a little later so you had the Halloween birthday?
It would be pretty fun to
It would make you a little bit cooler.
Right.
I think.
It's right there at the cusp.
Right. What's your sign?
Scorpio.
I should know that because I'm married to you. Scorpio. I'm writing that down because I have to look it up. For some reason, I can never remember.
And now everybody else knows as well.
I feel like everybody knows but me. I just can't remember signs.
So what else do we got going on?
So this coming weekend, we are going to be going up to, where is it? St. Joseph,
Yep.
Missouri. We're going to do an investigation up there with Lips, and I'm super excited about it.
Yeah, because that'll be our second time there.
Yes. So we will be at Clore Psychiatric Museum.
Right.
I cannot wait. I'm so excited about that place.
Yeah, we had really good experiences there last time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping to really get a lot of good stuff.
Right. I actually need to review my notes from last time because, sometimes you forget what happened.
Right.
And then when you're like reviewing it, you're like, oh yeah, that's it. So.
Yeah, because that was, not to give too much away from our previous investigation, but that is where we saw the image pop out on the thermal camera.
I forgot about that. Oh my gosh.
Like where it was a full torso and head.
Oh my god, I totally forgot.
That came out and then went back in and then came back out again.
Yes, okay. So we need to look at that to see what floor that was.
I kind of got chills just talking about that. It's so exciting.
Yeah. That's also where we had that bag knocked off the chair.
Yeah.
Ooh, I can't wait. Plus, it's up by Kansas City, and I love Kansas City. I always say it's my favorite city, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that you feel that way, but I feel that way.
I like it. I just don't like it in the winter.
It's too cold. I agree.
Too cold and just all that snow. All right, so do you kind of want to break down tonight's episode because it's a special episode?
You're like putting me on the spot.
Yep.
So we've been doing the states. What is it? Our spooky states.
I think that's what you say.
But I think that is what I say. But this time, because Halloween's coming, we are going to do like customs of Halloween. Basically, no. I guess like symbols of Halloween.
Like Halloween symbolism.
Yeah.
And kind of where it came from.
Right. There's really so much to cover. So what I did is I have right here in my hand, like I wrote down 20 things. We're only going to draw about 8 of them because that's so much to talk about. And with our son's help, he's going to pick the piece of paper from the little box. And we will talk about whatever he draws.
Sounds good.
I figure we'll do about, 8 to 10 of them?
Yeah, something like that.
And then I also wrote down some weird, like, superstitions with Halloween. So...
Do you want to rattle those off
does
first?
that sound like a good plan? What's that?
You want to do the superstitions first?
No, let's do this first.
Okay.
While we have Dagan in here, we have his attention.
Okay.
Okay, come on, Dagan. So what you're going to do is draw one and then read it into the microphone, okay? All right.
Orange and black.
Orange and black. Okay. So is that the colors you think of when you think of Halloween?
Yes.
Okay. So orange. Orange represents the jack-o'-lantern. It represents the color of the leaves. Fire that was burning in the fields during bonfires that were lit during Samhain. Basically, orange represents like the fall season.
Yeah, that makes sense with the transition of the leaves and the greens to the oranges and
Right.
browns.
So they consider orange like the beginning and then black the end, like fall season. So black represents the darkness and the dark long nights that winter brings. It represents death and Halloween, which is considered to be, or is believed to be, the night in which the veil between the living and the spirit world is at the thinnest.
Dagan, what do you think about that?
He's like, no answer.
You don't have anything? Okay.
And also they say like Halloween is traditionally celebrated at night, black. After sunset, orange.
It should be orange to black, yeah.
Right. There used to be a poem, I can't remember. I guess it wasn't a poem, it's like a quote, like, what was it? It considered white too, like orange, black, white brings on the fright or something. Did you ever hear that?
No.
Which I think white would be like ghost.
I can see that, yeah.
So anyway.
Or the moon.
Or the moon.
All right, you ready to do the next one?
Are you ready to draw the next? So that's orange and black. All right, Dagan's gonna draw again.
Spiders.
Spiders.
Ooh, spiders. That's a good one.
I'll let you do this one.
Thanks.
Yep.
Okay, Dagan, do spiders remind you of Halloween?
Yes.
Why?
Because like when it's dark outside, they're like walking around, I thought.
Yes.
Are spiders scary?
Yes.
Are they only scary on Halloween?
Yes.
Okay.
They're not scary to other days?
No.
Everything's scarier on Halloween, right? Okay, so spiders. Why are spiders associated with Halloween? First of all, I think of like witches. You know, it's always like witches and their spider webs around. But actually, there's a theory behind it. Like, spider webs are actually more prominent during fall.
I wonder if that has something to do with like all the dew in the morning
I think it
and
is
stuff.
the dew. Also, a lot of spiders are born in the spring. By the time fall comes around, they've actually like plumped up. They're nice, big, and fat. And that's when they start building like the tiny, tiny spiders you may not notice during summer. Or that's when they start making the huge webs that you do notice.
That makes sense.
So actually, I think it's like orb spiders, which are those huge ones that really freak you out. They're like harmless, but you know the giant ones, like the one on the back porch.
Oh, like the garden spider?
Yeah. So they actually, right before fall, that's when they make their big webs, and they're like looking for a mate to mate before they die off in winter.
Dagan, that was the giant spider by the pool. Remember?
Yeah, I remember it was like big, yellow, and it was very scary. It looked poisonous.
Yep, that was the one.
I think the thing about spiders, you know, their webs, you find them in dark, scary places.
Right, or when you're walking through
Quote,
the woods.
haunted houses,
Right.
scary abandoned locations, basements, attics.
All true, yes.
Right. Plus, they make a good Halloween decoration.
Yeah, because you see all the like the spider webs spread over the bushes,
Right.
and you know they glow in the black light, and
Yeah,
it's traditional Halloween stuff.
right.
and they're a nightmare to clean up afterwards.
Right. They've actually been associated with magic too. You know, like witches, magic, because of them making webs, which like kind of is magical in a weird, creepy spider way.
Right.
So, all right. Dagan's going to draw another one.
All right, Dagan, what do you got?
Witches.
Witches.
All right.
Okay, I'll do this one
You
since
got
you
it.
did the last two.
Okay.
All right, so witches they're kind of a unique one because I think they're just kind of associated with Halloween just solely based on their history
Right.
because it's a scary, type of night.
But it's not scary. But yeah, it's believed to be scary.
So, it's well known that witches during the Middle Ages were thought to be in league with the devil. Witches were feared. They were believed that their powers were the greatest on Halloween, and so which made them even, more scary and more of a threat to common people.
Mm-hmm.
It's thought that witches, of course, were in league with the devil, and that meant they were burned at the stake. They also did dunkings and many other things. Of course, many of the images that are associated with witches are then, of course, associated with Halloween, like cauldrons, broomsticks. And, you always see the traditional image of witches riding their broomsticks across the full moon. And of course, the pointy hats, the wart on the crooked nose, those are all essential Halloween images.
Right.
But in fact, a lot of that actually has to do with the greeting card industry and media.
Right.
Witches were added to greeting cards and stuff in the late 1800s. So much of that imagery is then associated with Halloween and other things that are thought to be scary. And so a lot of it just kind of comes out of our fear of the unknown.
Like just not understanding.
Right.
Or being educated.
Right. So, I mean, if you took the witches and they all looked like the witches from Hocus Pocus, not very many people would probably be frightened.
No.
But if you, take a more scarier version of that, and that's the image that most people see, that's going to make it scary. And
Which is funny because in reality, witches look just like me and you.
right.
Plain, normal, whatever.
Exactly.
So,
All right, Dagan. Do you have another one for us?
Scarecrows.
Scarecrows. You got this one?
I got it.
Okay.
Okay, Dagan, do you think of scarecrows when you think of Halloween?
Yes.
Why?
Because sometimes in the corn mazes they have them sitting up, and usually during Halloween you do corn mazes.
But don't they look super friendly and fun?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's not true of old scarecrows. Yeah, scary. So originally, scarecrows, they were made with animal carcasses, skulls, and rotten fruits and vegetables.
Does that sound fun to play with?
Nope.
They would be built in the spring and they would be burned in fall as a sacrifice for like a healthy harvest the next year. The ashes, after they burned all the scarecrows, they would be like spread over the fields. Kind of like for good luck.
Is that what we need to do in that bald spot in our yard? We can't get grass
we
to
may
grow?
need to build a scarecrow. Yeah. So the first scarecrows, they were the first known, I guess, were built by Egyptians to scare quail away from their wheat fields.
That's actually pretty interesting. I didn't realize they were built that late.
I didn't
guess
either, right?
That far back.
That far back. So like I said, not only were they used to like scare prey away, but they were also used to protect against crop failure.
So much like today.
Right. I think the whole idea is just like the reason it's associated with Halloween is because of fall harvest and the idea of scaring.
So maybe because after the harvest, they're more noticeable because you can see like through an entire field.
Right. You know what it makes me? It makes me think of The Wicker Man. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Not the horrible Nicolas Cage movie. The other one. But
I was thinking of that movie we just saw, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
yes, that one's creepy too. But also the scarecrow is kind of like a symbol of death and resurrection. So it's made out of, think of this, it's like made out of the well, not now, but back then, it was made out of the carcass and the skulls, so that'd be death. But if you think it's like in the middle of the field with its arm raised, resurrection.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe I'm putting too much thought into that.
No, I don't think so.
That's kind of what I think about now that I like read about it, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Like, it kind of represents both.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. All right, Dagan, what do you have for us next?
Costumes.
Costumes. Okay, so since you did the last one, I'll do this one.
All right, wait, let's ask Dagan.
Okay. Dagan, what do you think? Why do costumes associated with Halloween?
So you can hide from the dead spirits by putting on mask.
That's pretty good. Let's see. So costumes actually go back pretty far. During Celtic times, individuals that were celebrating Samhain would wear costumes in order to trick roaming spirits of the dead. Good job, Dagan.
That was pretty good. I'm impressed with his creepy knowledge.
of Halloween and dead spirits. So it was thought that if you could trick the spirit would refrain from bothering you. So in addition to that, during the Middle Ages, instead of being called trick-or-treating, it was actually called souling. The children would go door to door collecting handouts in return for their prayers for the dead.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's so much cooler.
And so, of course, in the 1950s, trick-or-treating became all the rage in the United States. And then even now, in the 20th century, it's one of those things that kind of still continues, but
right.
yet nobody kind of knows really where it all originated and how.
Right. Now it's for candy.
Right.
They don't think about
it. But, in the time, they weren't collecting candy. They're actually just collecting handouts for prayers.
Right. Okay, Dagan. So what are you going to dress up as this year in order to trick the dead spirits?
I'm going to dress up as a stormtrooper.
I think that'll definitely trick the dead spirits.
Right.
Because there was no stormtroopers back during Celtic times. They will think you're a dead spirit. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for costumes. Stormtroopers ward off evil spirits. So on that note, what do you have for us next?
All right, draw one.
Bonfires.
Bonfires.
Do you know anything about bonfires?
I know that you can use them to cook stuff with the heat, like hot dog and marshmallows.
Yep, those are the important things in life, right? Hot dogs and marshmallows? Yeah? All right. Okay, so bonfires, they date back to the beginning of Samhain. It is believed that during the night of Halloween, the spirits of those deceased could travel freely between this world and the spirit world because the veil was the thinnest. Okay, so the night before the bonfire, the children, they would go door to door, kind of like trick-or-treating, collect offerings for the bonfire. And then whatever they collected would be burned within the fire as a sacrifice to the gods.
So they were collecting up like anything then, not just like
I
wood.
assume just stuff they would sacrifice.
So
Yeah.
just pretty much.
I mean, I'm old, but I'm not that old.
Oh,
So like I said, they believed that the veil was the thinnest on this night, on Halloween night, or Samhain night. They believed that there were good and evil spirits roaming the world. So that's when they would dress in costumes and stuff. So when they would dance around the fire, they would dress up to kind of ward off the evil spirits or to trick them into not knowing who they were. And then it was believed that the good spirits that were out that night would help them predict the future and see what was coming. And then if you came in contact with a bad spirit, it would bring you bad luck and misfortune. So basically, when it was time to start the bonfire, like everybody at home, back then everybody had fires. They would put out their fires at home. They would bring the coals down, and that's how they would start the new fire. So after they burned everything off and sacrificed it, and the coals were like burned down to the bare minimum, then they would take those back home to light their, what they call them, hearths, their home fires. And then all the ashes that were left over from the bonfire would be spread over their fields for luck for the upcoming harvest the following year.
To fertilize the fields. All right, so Dagan, do you have another one for us?
All right, draw again and go.
Jack-o'-lanterns.
jack-o'-lanterns. So jack-o'-lanterns is really like a staple, I feel like, of Halloween.
Right. They are Halloween
Right.
to me. Why do you think, Dagan, we have jack-o'-lanterns for Halloween?
To scare away the spirits when they come by your house. You put them by your front door.
Yeah, that's a good answer. So, the origins of jack-o'-lanterns is actually doesn't have anything to do with pumpkins. So much of the origins of jack-o'-lanterns actually start with an Irish folktale about Stingy Jack. So according to this, an individual named Jack invites the devil for a drink, and not wanting to pay, he convinces the devil to turn himself into a coin in order to pay for the drinks. But instead of spending it, Jack keeps the coin in his pocket, only freeing the devil once the devil promises not to claim Jack's soul whenever he dies. But when Jack died, God didn't allow him into heaven, and because of what he did, the devil wouldn't allow him into hell. Instead, he gave him a piece of burning coal to light his way as he wandered the earth forever. Jack then put this coal into a hollowed out turnip to light his way as he wandered around as a doomed soul, never to enter heaven or hell. So, because of this story, in Ireland, they would then carve faces into turnips in order to ward off evil spirits and Jack. So as people in Ireland and Scotland would carve scary faces into turnips and potatoes, to ward off evil spirits, when they began immigrating to the United States, they wanted, to keep their traditions alive, but pumpkins were much more abundant.
Isn't a pumpkin a much better choice?
Well, I feel like
turnips are so tiny.
Right. I don't know if the turnips were bigger back then.
Right. I feel like that's so patient.
Right. I couldn't imagine carving
it's
much
hard
of
for me to carve a pumpkin.
Right. They had to have
Imagine.
larger
A potato.
growing turnips.
Right.
So to keep their traditions alive, they would then, carve pumpkins. And we kind of adopted it, and now it's jack-o'-lanterns from Stingy Jack.
So I took some notes too. So I have the jack-o'-lanterns. They weren't just applied to that. It was applied to people back in the day that would carry lanterns because, before electricity. So beyond people carrying lanterns. Also mysterious lights. For example, the Joplin spook light. That would have been referred to as a jack-o'-lantern. Or swamp gas. The lights produced there. Basically, unexplained lights.
So any light that they couldn't was a jack-o'-lantern.
Other names for jack-o'-lanterns, which I like much better, is the corpse candle. I love that. That's so cool. Also, this one's cool. Hinky punks.
I don't think I've ever heard that. I've definitely never heard that one.
And a fool's fire, which I think would describe the
Stingy Jack version
story.
of it.
Yeah.
But I couldn't imagine telling the kids, hey, let's go outside and carve some corpse lights.
Would you like that if we called them corpse lights?
Yes.
Yes. I think that should be our new name. What do you like better, corpse light, jack-o'-lantern, hinky punk, or fool's fire?
Hinky punk.
So hinky punk it is. Kids were also known to fool people with them. So they would, after the fall harvest, they would, carve them out, and they'd put, coal in them, and then they would, put them on sticks and, walk them by neighbors' windows to scare them.
Yeah, I'd imagine that would do it.
Or they would just walk through the woods with them, just to kind of freak people out. But, actually, in 1892, that's when the first, staple idea of, decorating with pumpkins came around. And it was the mayor of Atlanta, his wife. She carved she had a few carved with faces, and she used them for decoration for Halloween, for a Halloween party they were having. And that's kind of when it started with the whole idea of decorating them and sitting them somewhere versus carrying them around and scaring people.
That's interesting. This is kind of on a side note of jack-o'-lanterns. Mm-hmm. But in a lot of the research I was doing, that many of the traditions that we still carry today all originated in what would be considered the southern states of the U.S.
Yeah.
the first noted like Halloween parties were in Virginia.
I
where
think of
people-
Virginia as north. But
I think
I'm
it's
really bad
considered-
with-
I think it's considered a southern
Is
state.
it? I'm really
Yeah.
bad with geography, so don't even ask me.
Like, telling ghost stories, bobbing for apples. I was going to tell this one later, but since I'm already talking about stuff
Right.
they were doing, I'll go ahead and... One of the most popular Halloween traditions included divination, where young girls would look for the face of the husband in food that was cooked in the fire. So they would cook stuff in the fire and then look to see if they could see the face of
That's
their
so
husband in it.
weird.
Right? And one last one.
Okay.
Young girls would also leave a blouse outside to dry, and then the man she was going to marry would come and turn one of the sleeves of the blouse. That was it.
There's so many things that's old thoughts on finding husbands. I think like apple bobbing actually originated from people. I think the women would bob, I don't even know, but the women would bob for apples, and somehow that would predict their future husband.
Yeah, that actually came from the Romans.
Did it?
Yeah, when they would
It's
celebrate
always about women finding husbands.
Pomona night.
Okay, that kind of went off somewhere.
Yeah, we went
but
off on the rails on
isn't
that
that
one.
kind of weird though?
Yeah.
Everything is about finding a husband. I don't know.
Okay, Dagan, draw another one.
Black cats.
Black cats. Okay, I'll do that one.
Okay.
So, black cats, ancient Celtic religions were taught that the cats were actually reincarnated souls of humans and that they'd be able to see the future. Also, they were said to be witches that were turned into cats, or that they were witches' familiars. And unfortunately, people believed that the black cats were demonic, and large groups of them were often burned alive across
that's horrible.
Europe. Yeah, in the U.S., black cats in early America were seen as, of course, of signs of witchcraft. Even today, they're often thought of as bad luck. And if you didn't like the last thing about the cats, you're not going to like this one. They are also often the targets of torture, ritual sacrifice, and actually humane shelters will limit the adoption of black cats around
I've
this
actually
period.
heard that before.
Yeah.
That they won't. I don't know if there's truth behind that.
Did you have anything on black
I've heard
cats?
that. I read that in the Middle Ages, the legend was that the devil would gift a witch a black cat as a familiar. Also, in Scotland, there's a legend that a black cat named Sith would steal the souls of the deceased before they could find their way to the afterlife. And then once he had the human souls, he would use them to take on like a humanoid form, which I guess would be like a witch.
Yeah, I mean, I think kind of like the witches being associated with Halloween, I think black cats kind of fell into that.
Right. Because you always see that.
Cat lady?
No, not the cat.
Oh.
Like the witches flying with the broomstick with the cat riding on the
Right.
back.
And I think a lot of it was just that people had cats around and they were dark or black, and then women at the time were associated with being witches, so cats are
We
evil.
need to get a black cat. That'd be a good Christmas present, right, Dagan?
No.
We already have 2 cats.
Right. Good point, Dagan.
Isn't Alice a black cat?
No.
She's just an evil cat. All right. No, we don't really have an evil cat. She's just kind of mean and cranky and wants to be left
Don't
alone,
mess
right?
with her.
Oh, she's nice to me.
She is nice to you. All right, you want to draw? We'll do one more, and then we're going to talk about like superstitions of Halloween. Okay, so draw the last one.
Bats and vampires.
Bats and vampires. Well, I'll do bats.
They're kind of hand in hand, right? Because they are the same thing.
No.
No.
So, bats actually have a pretty, it's pretty easy how bats were associated with Halloween. Dagan, why do you think bats were associated with Halloween?
Because, since it's dark outside, they go outside of their cave and roam around 2 places.
Dagan just might be 3 for 3 on
Right?
answers. Maybe he should have done this instead of us.
I love they have the best knowledge. Our
They
children.
do. So, actually much like what he said, bats are associated with Halloween because of old pagan bonfires. Because whenever they would light the bonfires, of course, the bonfires would attract insects. And so they're out in their costumes, dancing around and celebrating. Bats are flying over, eating the insects. And so bats then became associated with Samhain celebrations.
I think it's believed that they would see like the bats flying down, or they believed there was evil spirits. So when you see these dark black things swooping down into the fire, a lot of them believed that the bats were in fact the evil spirits.
And so bats lead to vampires. So Dagan, what do vampires have to do with Halloween?
I think they have to do because they're like in the dark, and at Halloween there's like a barrier between dead spirits and alive, and they're allowed to cross it. So I think the vampires are allowed to cross it and roam around to scare people
and to drink their blood.
Yeah. That's a good answer.
So I think vampires, they get associated because of the vampire bat. There's lots of different vampires. There's lots of different bats, but there's only 3 species of vampire bat, and they actually do suck blood. Then, of course, Bram Stoker's 1897 Dracula depicted a vampire turning into a bat.
Yes, that would make sense. I mean, every almost vampire movie, except for where they sparkle, they turn into bats.
Leave the sparkling vampires alone.
The good ones, they turn into bats.
Do you know who the sparkling vampires are, Dagan?
No.
And that's because he's
Dad's
raised right.
Proud of you. Okay, so I think all in all, bats are associated because they're creepy. They're in dark, scary places. Caves, haunted houses, attics.
And they only come out at night.
Right, they're nocturnal.
And, tons of people...
Have you heard, so people get really scared that bats will fly into your hair? I know I've done that. We've been where were we? Ashmore Estates. Those damn bats were
when all the bats started flying out of the boiler room.
So in my head, I'm like, they're going to fly into my hair. But there's actually history behind that. Ish, according to the internet. So back in the Victorian era, remember they had the giant hair? They would do the hair pieces super high. And they didn't. Back then you didn't bathe all the time.
Right.
They would use hair nets and mat their hair up really tall. And it's believed that maybe they didn't smell that great. Like their hair, it would attract insects. Well, then bats would swoop down toward that and they get caught in the hair nets.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
So that's where that idea comes from. Plus, they definitely feel like they're going to attack your head. I know, I felt that way, right?
Yeah, they were flying super close.
We were acting ridiculous, but yeah, scary.
Okay, so that kind of wraps up bats and vampires and their association. You said you had some Halloween superstitions?
Yep, so I wrote down some. Let's see, Dagan, do you have any superstitions?
I know one where if you see a black cat, you could have bad luck.
Yeah.
Is that if you see one, or what does that have to do? Do you know? Have you ever heard it has to cross in front of you?
It has to cross in front of you, and then you will have bad luck. Or if you drop salt, you throw it across your shoulder.
That's a good one. Do you take it out of the shaker, or do you throw the whole shaker?
You take it out of the shaker.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, you don't want to throw the whole shaker. There might be somebody behind you.
That's even more bad luck. Is that it?
Yes.
Okay. So here's some more that I have. Are you ready? If you're having a Halloween celebration and you light candles and one extinguishes on its own, then there's a ghost present. If you walk backwards around your house 3 times before sunset on Halloween, it'll ward off evil spirits.
I'd never heard that.
If you see a spider on Halloween, it's a loved one watching you.
I've heard that one before.
You have. If you go to a crossroad on Halloween and listen to the wind, you will learn all of your future for the upcoming year. Do you know what a crossroad is?
No.
It's like where 2 roads cross. Like a Like in Hartville, the 4-way stop.
Like a 4-way.
If you see a black cat on Halloween, a witch is nearby. Okay, here's a good one for you, Dagan. Are you ready? If you pass a graveyard on Halloween, you should turn your pockets inside out so that a spirit doesn't hitch a ride home with you. Also, you should breathe out so it doesn't enter your body. Do you know what that reminds me of? The Haunted Mansion, yes.
I've actually heard that one, but I've heard it differently. Like anytime you're passing by a graveyard, you hold your breath so a spirit can't enter your body.
Yep. That one's kind of weird, right?
999 haunts.
And a ghost will follow you home.
Yep.
Do you have any more for us?
Yep. Okay. Ringing a bell on Halloween will keep evil spirits away. I like this one. Okay, this one's my favorite because what's the odds of seeing a ghost, right?
Right.
Like, none. So, if you see a ghost, walk around it 10 times and it will disappear. Like it's going to hang out for you to walk around it.
Right.
So,
That was
I really like that one because I thought that was funny. All right, here's a good one. Put your clothes on inside out and walk backwards on Halloween to see a witch fly across the sky at midnight.
Seems like a lot of work, doesn't it,
Right?
Dagan?
Do you want to do that, Dagan, this year?
Athena already does it.
Athena does it.
She wears her shirts inside out each day when she's going to bed. And her pants.
Okay, next one. Children born on Halloween will be protected from evil spirits. They will have the gift of seeing spirits and be able to talk to fairies.
See, I should have held out.
I'm super jealous of that one.
Well, minus the fairies, but I'm super jealous. I should have held out.
You should have waited.
Right. 4 days.
Chilled in your mom's womb just another 4 days. Yeah. Oh, you just said that. Never mind.
Do you have any more
I was thinking I had to do math,
Yeah.
so I was like preparing for that because, as I say, I do hair, not math.
Right.
Okay. Ireland believe if you hear footsteps following you on Halloween, do not turn around to look because it could be the dead following you, and if you look at them in the eye, you will die.
Now that escalated quickly.
So morbid. Okay. This is an England one. England. Do not look at your shadow in the moonlight because you will be next to haunt a graveyard. These are super creepy. Have you ever heard if you get, this isn't Halloween, but if you get a chill that somebody walked over your grave? Have you ever heard that?
No.
My grandma used to tell me that. It was super creepy. Of course, my grandma used to also tell me that when she died, she would haunt us. Also super creepy. But you have to love her. Actually, my sister just sent me a picture that said, like, when I die, I'm going to haunt you. It was like a meme. And she's like, who does this remind you of? I was like, Grandma. Do all grandmas say that?
I don't think so.
Right. My grandma was just cooler than other grandmas.
Yeah.
Okay. So do not go hunting on Halloween because you may injure a wandering spirit.
Or shoot somebody dressed in a costume.
Or a clown. To ensure a good crop for the next year, circle the fields with a lit torch on Halloween. Which kind of goes back to jack-o'-lanterns, right?
Yeah.
Or what was it called? Hinky punks?
Hinky punks.
Or
corpse light.
Corpse lights. On Halloween, this is a good one for you. Force all sheep and lamb to pass through a hoop of rowan wood to ward off witches and elemental spirits. Just kidding. I have no idea what that has to do with you.
Right. I was trying to think about it.
I was waiting to see your face. Okay. So this one, my last one actually goes back to the whole girls finding their husbands or whatever. So on Halloween, if an unmarried girl places rosemary and a silver coin under her pillow on Halloween, she will dream of her future husband that night.
I think I've heard something along those lines before.
Yeah.
There were so many like divination, women finding husband.
Right. So lame.
Whatever.
So, all right. So that kind of covers it for Halloween, right?
I think so.
So I would definitely say that covers it because Dagan's attention span is gone.
Right.
And it's bedtime.
And the fact that he probably knew more than us, apparently, about everything we were talking
Isn't
about.
it weird?
Yeah.
I guess kids pay more attention than you think they do. I'm a little proud in the creepy parent kind of way.
Right. Yeah, he
Now
definitely...
I wonder what he says to kids at school.
Right, yeah.
I'm impressed. I'm just going to say I'm impressed.
I feel bad for his...
That's some 9-year-old knowledge right there.
I feel bad for his teacher when they're talking about Halloween, and
Right.
he keeps correcting them. Well, actually...
Yeah. I just want to say, I spent lots of time looking up stuff, and then we just pull him up, and he's like...
Right, he...
Boom, 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 boom.
He was in the middle of playing video games, and we're like, you want to say the titles of what we're talking about? And then he just started rattling off
Right.
more information than
That's
us.
impressive. You want to close it out?
Yeah. So everybody needs to go and give us 5-star ratings and reviews for my birthday. Don't forget about that. I know we talked about it a while ago.
Right.
What about, where can people find us?
They can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Until Dawn Podcast.
Yep. They can,
Email us untildawnpodcast@gmail.com.
and they can send us a phone call. I guess it wouldn't send us a phone call. They can just call us and leave us a voicemail. And or if they'd rather just text us, they can text us. If you guys have any superstitions that you'd like to send us or tell us about, we'll be more than happy to tell everybody on the show.
And what is the phone number?
It is 913-703-DAWN. All right, so until next time, I'm Coy.
I'm Felicia.
And I'm Dagan Pittman.
And this is Until Dawn.